Here, let me throw some fake messages on here. It is Tuesday, January 6, 2026. This is Office Hours. I'm going to get a coffee. We'll get started in 9 minutes. Hopefully, all of the chat rooms will connect. We'll see, though. We ain't had a lot of luck with it so far. There we go. G. James B. Yes. There we go. Aha. Got him. Guys, I ain't gonna lie. I'm getting a wee bit annoyed with the Social Stream Ninja not doing everything perfectly right out of the box. I don't understand. Why can't everything just work instantly and be free? Oh, wait. That's what we're getting closer to every single day as the robots take over more shit. And what do? We hate it! Good news, humans will always find more to be pedantic and precise about. We will expect, as I'm fond of saying, our babies can never be too healthy, our weddings days can never be too perfect, and we can never die with enough dignity. Demand is going to rise to the supply. There we go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, let's start with this one. This is a good one. Here, we'll go ahead and let's just get rid of that. Boom. Hello, beautiful folks. My name is Brian Brushwood. This is Office Hours. Do you ever go to university? Notice that a professor shows up, does whatever the hell he's going to do, no matter what. Only the door's open, and you're welcome to come on in, say hello, and get a free letter upgrade. That's what I'm up to. This is my way of paying it forward. Ooh, how cliche. I hate it already. Turn this stream off. Vincent Veldkamp is carving out a niche for his geek space. Now, here's the thing. I told you guys before, there's a website out there called What 3 Words? What3words.com. And if you go there, they've divvied up the entire planet into 3-word chunks. Right here in New York City Hall, this is clip.apples.leap. If I click over here, we get guard.steep.duke. Wow. Hold on. Let me show it to you so you know I'm not having a stroke. Although maybe I am having a stroke. Guard.steep.duke. Right? So if you can divvy up the entire planet into these coordinates, you can also divvy up the entire marketplace of ideas. And in this case, Vincent Veldkamp Do me a favor, Vincent. Remind me of what to search for to find your channel. This is one of the other things. You'll notice that right now, Vincent can't paste a link into the chat because of spam filters, but it doesn't matter because if he's got good coordinates, if he's got good brandable chunks, as the Wizard of Ads partners call them, then he owns the real estate, the only real estate that matters. That's real estate of the mind, and I'll be able to find it no matter what. Guard my gooch, he says. I'll find out whether or not he's pulling my chain or not by heading on over to YouTube. Guard my gooch. We'll see what we get. Well, somebody does want to protect my balls. Yep. Sonderhandling. Okay. I'm going to assume Zonderhandleiding. Hello, Flying Car 100. Hello, Random Hank. Hello, G. James B. Pew, 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 pew. Hello, Business Jim. Hello, Cliff Horn. Hello, Josh Van Allen. Manual not included. There we go. So right now, if we're thinking of Vincent's 3 words, he's got good positioning. It's basically geek explorations, but native to Dutch, Amsterdamese, Polish, whatever the language is that you guys. Oh, that's hilarious. Pew, pew. Whenever I automatically repeat something back, I have to think of the time that we got in trouble with Squarespace for having everyone hashtag click clack because we made a joke about it being a gun store because it was a silly thing that was the opposite of what it is, which is a place that sells domains. Unfortunately, there was a mass shooting, as there is every 20 minutes. And they didn't like that. Dutch. That's what it is. It's Dutch. So the question is, Vincent's got a roadmap of content laid out for his channel. And in fact, why don't I do this? Hold on a tick. I'm going to swap this for this, and we're going to be able to beep, bop, boop. There we go.
Well, yeah. Every now and then it's Merry Christmas with your chicken burrito bun. And then it's just a matter of,
Oh, interesting. I think we're seeing the auto-translated.
Tastes quite good, actually. The second round is what, the better stuff. Is hot stuff.
Individual.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah. Every now and then it's Merry Christmas, everyone, with your chicken burrito bun. And then it's just a matter of, Oh, not bad then. Tastes quite good, actually. The second round.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one of my tidbits on here before we, before we break down kind of the idea that you're going for is every piece of content you should do. You do. First of all, I have wonderful news for everyone. You're not too late. You're just in time. The rules have just changed, and the only person I'd not want to be right now is somebody deeply entrenched in the way it used to be. Because the way it used to be ain't going to be the way it's going to be now. And so instead, you know what I'm going to do? In the new rules, we're much, much closer to 1950s touring recency bias. Basically, for a brief moment, broadcast made it possible for everything to be so precious. The one official performance of record. And then we all worshiped at the canonical release. The only reason for that canonical release was because of the scarcity, the incredible amount of resources it took to make a single episode of the Dukes of Hazzard or what have you. And then the single zero-sum game of the transmitting bandwidth that's allocated by the FCC, et cetera, et cetera. It's only scarcity that caused us to ever be precious about the quality of things. Now, of course, everybody is obsessed with quality, but we didn't used to worry about any one thing being a knock it out of the park hit. Instead, we worried about being good in general. So touring acts made sure that they were good every single night, and they can mix up the texture of their performances with one of these old-timey hits, with a new one, with a cover of something, and a local favorite, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are coming back to those days. Right now, there are people out there who are genuinely flummoxed and amazed at why I have the audacity to go live every single morning for office hours. First of all, you're welcome. That was a very strange way to say thank you. Second of all, the reason couldn't be more obvious. What is everybody complaining about? Fake, robot-generated garbage, inauthentic stuff. That YouTube live stream is the hack to get ahead. You guys are watching me crack the code in real time. Every time I go live, I have a genuine conversation with you guys. I get feedback that I realize in real time that I work into what I'm saying while I'm saying it. And then we get to some moment that is condensable down to a short. The only piece that I haven't crossed yet is mid-level content, which, by the way, G. James B. and I are working on right now. How about that? So the important thing is YouTube thrives on data. It needs enough to know what it's working with. Now, it used to be highly polished, single shot, one and done, pilot premieres on broadcast network. That was a zero-sum game because you either needed to, right out of the gates, be generally shaped the right way that the empty void in the world's hunger for entertainment was, and you didn't get to find out until after it was out there. But now, all of your failures get relegated to the forgotten realms. You can unpublish them if you want, but you don't even have to do that. Nobody's going to watch them because the algorithm is so good. Right now, if people are complaining that the live streams are showing up their feed, guess what? YouTube only does that when it knows that you're going to like it. And I'm sorry, we are that predictable. But the wonderful news is that it's going to keep on showing up. Now, if I were scared, I would stop doing anything, and then I would sit there, I would just count my subscriber numbers going up, going up, going up, going up. By the way, that's the one surefire way to make sure your subscriber numbers go up is never post anything. You will never lose a subscriber if you do not post. That is why I am out on that game. When the incentives are aligned that way, that means you are not playing the game. Whatever your message is, if it is consistent, if you find your groove and you're able to hit it again and again and again, the answer is always more. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to go through your experimentation phase. You're going to go through some version of exactly what you're watching me do an hour and a half every single friggin' day. You're welcome. And you're going to see, just like you're watching me hit my groove, you're going to hit your lane. And once YouTube has enough data to work with, even now, the fact that I'm hitting some version of flow state and that my words are coming out in unbroken syllables, that I'm not distracted by what's happening in the comments down there, YouTube is able to parse all of this. And it's able to notice that when Brian is on a tear, people stop and watch, and the numbers go up, and it knows the demographics of all those individual people, and you better believe it's going to serve it to more of them. Why? Because it knows a fit when it sees it. But the only way you get there is if you give YouTube the data. You've got to give it something to work with. I'm talking to agents right now as I book my keynotes. What do they want? They do not want a highly polished, highly curated sizzle reel. Why? Because those are too easy to fake. There are entire workshops where you could go spend $5,000, $10,000, and about 50 of you will all get in the same audience. And then one at a time, each of you will spend 5 minutes up on stage and give a 5-minute TED-like talk, and everyone will pretend to be engaged, and then they'll get awesome, high-quality footage of it. And then they bundle all those up. They say, go send this to agents, get yourself booked. And then the agents begin to notice, seems like a lot of people are in this same venue, given the same kind of talk, with the same kind of shots, everybody gets wise to it. So sell on polish, sell on polish, sell on polish, iterate, iterate, iterate. Authenticity is the only way. Everybody gets found out for everything eventually. So whatever it is that keeps you from wanting to post yet more, try to get over it. Now, keep in mind, for me, that challenge is an addiction to polish and quality. I do have minimum standards. Below a certain threshold, I don't want anything going out. But you can adjust that by adjusting your pitch, by adjusting your promise to the audience. You'll notice every single morning I'm being very increasingly diligent about explaining that I make absolutely no promises for this live stream. You'll know we have a real program when I start announcing it has some kind of value, a direction. But for right now, we're finding that. So anyway, to answer your question, give it more to work with is the answer. If you find any moment that you think, well, I'll just hold off and do it, decide right now that you just got canceled. Say that YouTube sent you a certified letter that says on this date, 6 months from now, we are going to delete your account and everything on it. However, we must insist that you post something every single day. Good luck on your next venture after that date. What are you going to do with that 6 months? If I were you, I would post something every single day like I had nothing to lose. Because congrats, you got nothing to lose. And as you post something every single day, guess what? You are going to change. Your ability to communicate is going to change. Your visceral ability to come up with bits and what one time will be a one-off joke, and you'll think to yourself, where did that come from? You're going to do it maybe a little bit on purpose next time. And before you know it, it's part of your natural rhythm and flow and what automatically comes out of you. Because remember, ultimately, all we care about is characters. Everybody, that's all we care about. All right, so let's see. So in terms of this particular video, I do have one really brief comment. Shorts are a funny animal in that, remember that this is the most unfair of tournaments in that whoever's watching your short almost certainly is pooping and has their thumb coiled, ready to flip to the next video. And it is fun. It is very fun to say, nope, judge people and move on. So whatever it is you give them, that first 3 seconds is very likely, statistically, the entirety of all you get. So projecting a big quest, beginning with a challenge, calling, what does the mystery of the ancients in no time, get out of here, unless there's a visual so intriguing that it totally makes you pop right from the beginning. So in this case, what it looks like we have is a fine 1 minute chunk of, is a thing good? Turns out it is pretty good, right? So what you might want to consider, here, let's see.
Well, yeah. Every now and then it's Merry Christmas everyone with your chicken burrito bun. And then it's just a matter of, oh, not bad then. Tastes quite good actually.
So in this case, you want to convey as much as you can in the first 3 seconds and just say, even if it's just a voiceover, you could just do a shot of the whatever it is and just say, just how bad can it be? And then now, even if I don't know what it is, then my eyes can glance down and see, oh, he's doing a test. Is this Christmas emergency package edible? Gross face. That then, in that first 3 seconds, not only do I have, give or take, the entire picture of the pixel, but more importantly, I have an unresolved question mark. I have that itch, that loop that isn't closed that makes me not want to scoot. Like, it'd be more painful for me to swipe, even though I love swiping away from things. We all love swiping away from things. Even though we want to swipe away, I won't do it because it would be more miserable to admit that I could just handle not knowing what it is. This short is low effort, recycled material from the MRE long form for reach and auto edited by TikTok. That's great. That's a great starting point. I love starting with the auto-edited stuff because the one thing that I can't get on my own is of the view of what my shit looks like from the outside. So I don't care, even if it's C- effort from a robot, at least it's letting me know that somebody out there or some statistical algorithm would think that this is going to be the most interesting part. May not be the part that I find most interesting, but then I make it a challenge to try to figure out, okay, how can I thread the needle and do both? How can I do something that I find interesting, not just for one loop, but for 2 loops, for 3 loops, and. So here, let me go through your comments. We got a lot of you guys. Venezuela oil, nice translation. Let's see, how good are the auto translations? I don't know, that seemed pretty good to me. Everything we said, China will know, that's right. So yeah, I think it's fine to harvest shorts out of long form. I would say just give them a little bit of an extra touch. Remember the old saw of 2 guys are in the woods, a bear comes, and one dude starts running, and the other guy says, well, wait, you can't outrun the bear. The guy says, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. That's all you got to do. Everybody else is going to press the easy button. You just got to figure out where is a way that you can be better than everyone else pressing the easy button. Because that is the blind spot. That is the thing everybody's missing in their AI hysteria, is that once everybody knows how the easy button works, then nobody's going to press it, or nobody's going to be caught just pressing it. You guys have heard me express this as the papyrus issue. Go look up just type in AI papyrus, and you'll find that think piece. Holy moly. JZ6373, tell me about this. The streaming event coming in 2029 that's going to have billions of organic impressions. A few upside down problems to solve. I'll bet. Tell me about those. Oh, hell yeah. Good morning, Matt. Congratulations on your latest short. It looks like it's rounding out around 7 million. Yeah, live stream, the game. That's exactly what it is. Hello, Cartoonomancer. Good to see you. How do we use what 3 words? Well, if you're using it for coordinates, let's say you have a gigantic ranch, then your street address doesn't matter a lot. You would instead give coordinates and say, go close to these coordinates. Now, you wouldn't want to give a bunch of numbers. Those are hard to remember, but it's easy to remember 3 words. What we are doing is we just want to own, for everything we do, we want to own 3 words in people's minds. I say, this is a mean joke, but you'll take my meaning. If I say magician, we've narrowed down 9 billion people down to a couple 100,000. If I add the word goth, what are we at, a dozen? If I say an unkind word, now we're only thinking of 1 goth magician on the planet. That's what happens when you own 3 words in somebody's mind. Now, these could go for ideas. These could go for brands. These could go for your content. And so likewise, for example, there's probably only 1 channel on all of YouTube that comes to mind when you think social engineering at the bar and on the street, right? And you're thinking of Scam School. Likewise, if I say gentleman, warrior, and scoundrel, pretty sure you're only going to find 1 channel dedicated to the pursuit of becoming master of all 3. That's what it's like to own 3 words into people's minds. Right on, man. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, right now we're kicking around a bunch of different formats, trying on to see what's going to work in an age of essentially an efficient market where basically your ideas have to stand out from the crowd, and you got to be excellent in multiple ways at the same time. That's the other hack to doing a live stream. It's hard, guys. It is unbelievably hard to be thinking of the mental map of all of the technical aspects of this while running my linguistic parts of the brain and thinking about the pacing of an hour-long program, considering what promises were met, what promises were made, which ones are going to be kept. Also, as we go, which of these are going to carve up nicely into short form content. I suspect that the more of these things that are individually hard about it, on top of that, the insistence of reaching a certain level of quality, then all of that together makes a smaller and smaller pool of competitors. That's where you want to be. If there's 1 billion competitors, if you can conceive of even 1,000 people trying to do exactly what you are doing, too crowded. Think about the Amazon rainforest. That is a saturated market, right? If you wanted to plant a seed for, I don't know, some lemongrass or whatever, you probably would not plant it at the bottom of a canopy of trees in the Amazon rainforest. Now, if a meteorite came down, smashed a big old mile-wide hole, burned down a whole bunch of trees in the Amazon, and that lemongrass seed had no competition, well, then that is right where I'd want it to be. I wouldn't plant it. Let's say somebody had planted a pecan tree. Pecan trees cast in, but boy, you can tell I know nothing about agriculture. All of that shade, you don't plant seeds in the shade. Ain't nothing gonna thrive when something else is choking out all the calories. You wanna go where there's no competition. And if there is competition, you wanna be the exact counterpoint to the competition that's out there. All right. I'll tell you what, perfectionism is a real problem. And you can tell if it's a real problem of, does it stop you from hitting publish? It almost ran away from me today. Today, I try really hard to get started at 8:30 on the dot. I even gave myself time with the countdown timer so that I'd be able to let it start it up and run it. However, I realized that 99% of everyone who ever sees the imagery for this live stream is, number one, probably not going to watch it. Number two, if they do watch it, they're going to see only the first few seconds. And then 99% of them are not going to make it to this very point. You guys are already in the super elite 99.99 percentile of all humans in the planet for listening to this right now. Now, knowing that that's the case, what do you do with that bandwidth? What is a story that you could tell in the first 5 seconds before people click away? And in my case, that's why I started a bit late. I had to write this. I had to write the lines, the roles for everybody tuning in. I also took way too long working on this freaking thumbnail. This thumbnail drove me nuts. It kept wanting to act like I was about to have a face-off against Kurt Vonnegut, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. That's great. Vincent Veldkamp, that's the way to be. Get over that perfectionism, because you know what's perfect? The robots. What do we hate? The robots. Flying Car 100. It learns it quite simply by rolling dice at a statistically significant level. If you look, every time you look at this recommended feed over here, almost always you're going to see, in this case, this is very dialed in on some kind of playlist over here. But if I were to, well, here, let's see what it's got programmed for me. And let's say I click on this. Now, I'm not going to show it because we'll get content ID'd. But off to the right, look at this. It's going to give me, first of all, a thing I've already seen, a thing related to the thing I've already seen, another thing I've already seen. And then the farther down we go, it's going to do various, about 1/3 is going to be stuff you've seen or variations of it. 1/3 will be new stuff. There's a recency bias. But then 1/3 of it is just the randomest stuff. And every single one of these all count as impressions on there. When it says reach, when you're looking at your analytics, I'm driving up the reach on all of these. And I'm hurting all of their, I'm air quotes, hurting all of their metrics by doing it. But one of these will be, here's the important word. I'm not going to say good or not good. I'm going to say it'll be congruent with not my interests as a human being, because nobody is the same human being at morning and night. No man swims in the same river twice. But at some point, I'm going to see something. This little performance of a title and a thumbnail is going to be congruent with my mental bandwidth of what I have available, with my interests, with a project that I'm working on, and I'll give it a try. And when I give it a try, the YouTube algorithm is going to notice. Think about this. The YouTube algorithm has data for 20 years. It knows every single thing I clicked on and how long I watched it and when I gave up. And that's the reason it can tell when I'm sniffing around going down memory lane. I play what's the joke I said? You play Bittersweet Symphony one time and suddenly your whole feed is nothing but late 90s jams, right? The algorithm's very, very good. And just like in the actual competition out in the wild, in the competition of the marketplace of ideas, throws a little chaos into the mix. A little bit of randomness, a little bit of thing that doesn't go there, and it just watches and what happens. Instead of world dominating, oh, it's Risk, I see. Settlers of YouTube instead. Yeah, that's the other funny part, is we can all win. Is there a studio model that might let me centralize resources around new content like yours? I own a college campus. Go on. I would like to hear more of this. In fact, go ahead and hit me up, all of you guys. As you know, I'm big on reminding you that the robots, this is me otherizing the robots, because what are they going to do? Ask me if I'd like a PDF of it. The robots are trying to separate us. The closest thing to a fair shake left is still an email, although the algorithms are trying to mess with us on that too. But that's fine. For now, you can always get a hold of me at brian@shua.com, but more importantly, sign up on that email list, signup.scamstuff.com. Now I got to figure out how to make that go away. There we go. Chris, oh, wait, what did I do? Oh, somebody said humdinger. I thought I just clicked it again. Chris Do or Do says, the more you are, the more you are. The more you are, the more you are. Yeah, that's right. That's why I encourage people to take an earnest, honest assessment of kind of what you're made of, and then decide, are you comfortable being more of that? And then put yourself in increasingly interesting situations where you have to do it. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. Thank you, G. James B. Oof. Hawk Worley says, I'm trying, my friend. I'm trying. Yeah, man. That's the job. I don't know if I played it for you recently, but there's a scene from The Wire where Tommy Carcetti is coming in as the new mayor. He says to the old mayor, I got to ask, how come you never ran again? He said, oh, the first day being mayor, it was great. Sit in this big, beautiful chair in front of this big wooden desk. I think to myself, how much better can it be? And then there's a knock at the door. And in comes Steve. He's got this big, beautiful bowl, silver chalice, gorgeous silver sieve. And he says, what's this? He says, it's from the unions. And I open it up. I sniff at it. I say, this is disgusting. What am I supposed to do with this? He says, well, you're the mayor. You got to eat it. Well, not wanting to be rude, I decide to dig in and start eating the shit. And just as I'm finished, there's another knock at the door. He says, this one's from the ministers. And this next one is from the blacks. That's what the job is, Tommy. You're sitting there all day eating shit. And after all that, I realized that retiring a country lawyer, seeing my family every night, made for a fine life. Just a fine life. Some people want to retire and be the country lawyer. Some people want to be the mayor. But that's the job, is you got to keep showing up. You got to keep eating that shit, my friend. But good news, if it's in you, it'll find its home. What do I think about what Seth Godin said? Authenticity are overrated. I don't know when he said it. I would love to be on a podcast to discuss it now. You're talking to a guy who has started intentionally placing typos in my emails about 3 years ago, who realized way early on that while carefully crafted emojis and bulleted lists may have telegraphed sincerity a while ago, now they simply telegraph that you couldn't be bothered to do anything but press the easy button. That's great. That's great. This is the key, Vincent. Think of what you're made of and then figure out how to carve up time slices to give to it every single day. Then it's automatic. You go in, you get started, and maybe you hit gold that day, maybe you don't. But you know that in the long term, it is a statistical impossibility that you're not going to find its home. And here's the thing, if you don't like the home that you find, change what you're putting out. Figure out what is it that's not agreeing with everyone. Play to the audience. This is the biggest thing. If I could give advice to anybody, get in front of a real crowd. Because once you've accidentally lost a crowd and you've discovered that you can win them back, then it becomes much easier to virtualize that in real time. Now, of course, it takes little stair steps in YouTube. It takes a little bit to get there, but it becomes just as reliable as all of chemistry, of stoichiometry. Oh man, I wish I could even pronounce this in Cyrillic, I believe. I'm whipping my algorithm into submission, but the slop denial phases still come up. Quit the YouTube app for pipe, no ads, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what pipe is, but I've been wondering for a minute whether or not some anti-YouTube competitors were going to come along. I suspect that any solution that involves blockage, playing defense, is not going to not going to work in the long term. All right. Ooh, that's great. So the one that Vincent had a short or a piece of content that went to 1.4 thousand views at 5 subs. The YouTube algorithm is in the business of giving everybody a chance. Now, if you want more chances, you could pick a topic that the whole world is hungry for and show up. That's part of the reason with this Maduro stuff going on right now, you'll see so much AI-generated slop because people care so much about the right nowness that they're flexible on whether or not it's verified. Similar, another thing is all the Avengers Doomsday trailers, right? All of those, a lot of them are totally fake. And you see the same thing on Twitter as well. Again, the whole market has gotten saturated enough that it is an efficient market, and I lose interest in efficient markets. Instead, I would look for a slice of that remaining market that is inefficient and understand, get a real estimate, a realistic estimate. In fact, this might be a good exercise right now, Vincent. Do me a favor, and in the comments, give me a high end and a low end of your sincere estimate. If you could, with a straight face, say, I am the #1 native Dutch language geek learning channel on the planet. How many subscribers is that? And maybe that's more than you could imagine and more than you would ever want. But let's just in the back of our mind reserve a little bit of our game plan for what we might do after we achieve that to kind of widen that footprint just a little bit wider. For me, it was the word scam school, easy to say, easy to remember, transactional. You could actively dislike this spiky-haired magician, but by God, you knew he had the best tricks. And he was not going to bullshit you about what you could get away with at the bar. And you knew they actually worked because he took actual drunk people and got them to pull off the tricks. However, that same thing that was leveraged to get in the door, scam school, becomes a cap. Because I don't want the scam school guy giving me success advice. However, if scam school became just a piece of a bigger puzzle, if it was just one of the aspects of the ultimate modern rogue, equal parts gentleman, warrior, and scoundrel, well then, yeah, now it starts to make sense. Yeah, you spent 10 years being the scoundrel, spent 10 years doing low-budget Mythbusters, playing the warrior. Of course, we're at the beginning of 10 years of the hardest challenge of them all, shooting you straight, learning to be a proper gentleman, passing the gift on, and helping others around. That becomes possible when you think about the forever story that you want to tell. Oh, yeah, it's Adam says, I avoid anything with this in the title, as in you will never believe what this dish tastes like. So keep in mind, oh, yeah, it's Adam, that is an artifact of you moving from, there was a time you did not know that format was a cheap ploy to tickle the curiosity gap. But now you recognize it. But remember, you're noticing that artifact. For example, think about M dashes with GPT stuff. Nowadays, everybody knows that's a marker, that's an artifact of GPT usage, but we didn't know it all at first. Same thing with papyrus. We didn't know. Not everybody knew. There was that brief 5-year period. Everybody thought they were so clever, saving the $50 by not hiring a graphic designer because they had papyrus. But then it went on the side of a bank, and people are like, whoops, this is low effort embarrassment. 2029, we should start making plans. Where do we want to be 3 years from now? Because I tell you what, you're going to get there one way or the other. As Brian Tracy puts it, a lot of people short circuit when they think about writing down their goals. They don't want to decide where they're going to be 5 years from here. But he says, here's the secret. The time is going to pass anyway. And I love the brutal correctness of that. It's horrifying and awful. I hate it. Guard my gooch. 3 words. JZ6373 says, I'm building up to Apophis EXL, closest passing celestial body in human history. We're streaming it in IMAX from our 3D printed spaceship. Yes, really. I have to build a hype up to April 13th, 2029. Well, I'll tell you what, I have a little bit of experience of calling a long-term shot. As you guys remember, when I bought this very property, I said 4 years. We're going to have opening ceremonies, April 9th, 2019, or maybe it was April 8th. I should probably remember. Because 5 years hence, there was going to be a total solar eclipse. And by God, we landed that plane. It was incredible. The end of a performance of Dark Side of the Moon, where the last note gets played right as the sun is eclipsed by the moon. So first thing for that is figure out here, let's do this. Here we go. So there we are, right here. And here's our target. And what do we want? 1 billion viewers. And you know you're going to have it because you have a genuine first in all-time event. If I'm understanding you correctly, you will have a spacecraft that will be uniquely positioned to capture remarkable history. You're going to be able to get shots that might end up being as iconic as man setting foot on the moon, or at the very least, as iconic as when they launched a Tesla up into space, right? So yeah, billions of views is on the menu. So you might think about like, okay, what are all the technical things? You'll want redundancy, you'll want backups, planning, funding, all of those things. However, that's all the doing level. That's all the actual event. There's a separate story, which is the audience's POV. Now, for me, this story begins right here and right now, when just this moment was the first moment I heard about this audacious plan. I just found out that 3 years from now, there's going to be a space doodad coming real close, and that some awesomely insane person is going to 3D print a space vessel to get it watched by 10% of the entire planet. In. Now, you have a branch. There's 2 realities here. Reality 1, you decide that's enough. I told Brian. The problem is Brian's going to forget right around there. So instead, what you can do is you can clip out this moment, put this moment as a short on your channel, and say, this is the moment it all became truly real, that there's a journey and a thread for everybody at home that's going to lead to this incredible moment. Call your shot, like Babe Ruth, holding the baseball bat in one hand, pointing out in the stands. Be that person, and then figure out, okay, what are all the chunks between now and then? First of all, maybe we gotta hear about the plan. Maybe we gotta meet the characters. Maybe we got to hear about the money. Maybe we got to hear about the history. Now maybe we'll have a narrative arc of the naysayers. And then we'll have one on the community. And then we get to that moment where while you are having this journey, the audience gets to have this journey. And there in the middle, you guys meet. If you want help with that, go ahead and hit me up. I do advice. Brian@shawood.com. Sign up for the email list. Signup.scamstuff.com. Blue Ocean 101. Yes. I'm glad you're picking it up. Let's see. Do I think there are many PC or phone bots? There's a disadvantage. I'm not entirely sure where you're going with that. Let me know. Yeah, you are super elite. Have a good dinner, Vincent. Yeah, YouTube and Google are kings of A/B testing. As I am fond of pointing out, it's really ABCDEFGH testing. It's testing all of the things. In fact, if there's one thing that I'm certain even Google wishes they could do better, it's contextualize what you've done so far. And the way they do that right now is by only ranking you against yourself, specifically the 10 videos previous to it. Here, let's see. Okay. Normally on dashboard, that's where I'd put it, but that's all right. We can go to analytics. Beep, bop, beep, boop, doop. There we go. So if I wanted to know how this one did, we would look. Crap. It's around here somewhere. No. Doggone it. I think it might be on the mobile only. There's one that... Nah. Never mind. Usually there's the thing that'll show you, it's on the mobile app only, but basically you open up a single piece of your content and it tells you how that one ranks only with the 10 that came before it, which creates an awesome artifact. It's the Lake Wobegon effect, where all the children are above average. And because it's only comparing you to your last 10 videos, then more often than not, as you get better and better, you will keep on having #1 hits. And of course, how can you always have one of your, each bit of your content do better than the one before it? The answer, of course, is number one, because you're going backwards in time and you can improve across the whole board. So, Big Jim 5, this is a really good question. How does that relate when you pay to promote? Don't pay to promote. I am a Wizard of Ads partner. I'm on the board of directors of Wizard Academy, an entire 501c3 built on the backs of the advertising business, dedicated to helping entrepreneurs tell their stories. And I, give or take, have never paid for an ad. Because, you guys know, I think in 3 currencies, we can go over that another time, the circle only goes one way. And if you're telling a good story, then just having looked at it is its own reward, and people come back for more. When you pay, you're able to obfuscate bad storytelling. You can cover up the fact that you've not told a very good story by just paying to force a lot of people to watch it. And then, because a lot of people were forced to watch it, some number of them will end up buying the product, but that masks the fact that you have a corrupted, vicious cycle happening. We'll talk more about that later. Speaking of congruent, machine learning does not look for the right next thing. It looks for the least surprising. Yes. I agree 100%. And there are times you want spicy, something really, really twisted. Something. There are actually slider bars to randomize stuff. If you think about it, again, from kind of a genetic level, essentially you can increase the mutation rate, which on the one hand means that you're going to waste a lot more time on ideas or nonsense word salads that aren't very useful. But every so often, you're going to be like, I never would have put those two things together. And it does kind of make sense. Chris Doe. I'll make sure to get that right. Oh, Vincent wants. Yes. Here, let's take a look at the actual. I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. So, okay, here's a good thing. Every so often, try being somebody else. Open up an incognito browser and try to write something that will lead you to here. I think that there's supposed to be a promotional video viewable here. Like if I go to in private, let's go to YouTube, Modern Rogue. If you go to the Modern Rogue channel, oh, there is no, I guess does it do it for Scam School? Oh, it doesn't on either of those. Interesting. There should be a preview introduction video, but I don't see it. What's going on there? Maybe I need to update my knowledge base. Where is the welcome? Oh, channel intro. There we go.
Dit is Zonder Handleiding. Ik ben Vince, jouw wegwijzer in de Nederlandse geekcultuur. Hou je van 3D-printen, cosplayen of andere nerdy dingen, dan ben je hier op het juiste adres. Maar laat ik me eerst even voorstellen. Ik ben altijd al een geek geweest. En over de jaren heen heb ik best veel coole dingen kunnen doen. Zo heb ik mijn eigen 3D-printer gebouwd. Dat gaat soms goed en soms ook helemaal fout. Ik heb mijn jeugdhelden ontmoet, filmrequisieten aangeraakt en ik co-host regelmatig een Engelstalige podcast, Your Geek Fix. Het viel me op dat we in Nederland niet echt een kanaal hebben dat zich bezighoudt met het geek zijn. Vroeger had je De Wonderwereld met Griet Titulaar of Wordt Vervolgd met Han Pekel. Dat soort content mis ik wel een beetje in het Nederlandse medialandschap en op YouTube. Dus ik dacht, dan ga ik dat toch lekker zelf maken. Op dit kanaal vind je video's over hobby's, projecten, dingen die ik vind, maak of verzamel. Maar altijd vanuit een Nederlands perspectief. Hoe kom je hier aan die spullen? Waar vind je die communities? En hoe begin je? De coolste dingen komen zonder handleiding. En dat is soms best lastig. Daar gaan wij iets aan doen. De volgende keer gaan we lekker uitnerden met mini 4-wheel drive. Japanse racewagenbouwpakketten die hier eigenlijk niet verkocht mogen worden. Dan laat ik zien hoe ik ze importeer, wat het kostte en waarom het vet lastig is om deze hobby te beginnen in Nederland. Natuurlijk doen we dit allemaal samen. Dus laat me vooral weten waar jij nog een handleiding voor nodig hebt.
This is great. So things I liked about this quite a bit. Number one, the fact that so much of the story was told non-verbally, even though I didn't understand many of the words. I think I understood co-host in there. I didn't need to because I got the fact that this is geek culture. Got a little bit of your backstory and history, some of the influences that you liked. And I came to understand that we're going to explore topics. We're going to do unboxings. We're going to celebrate geek culture. That's great. All of my notes will be for after more content has come out. For right now, check that box. Does it do the job of effectively communicating who and what you are? 100%. Call it good for now, but know that you'll probably want to go back and do some polish as you have more of the story to tell. Also, Vincent Veldkamp, you have figured out the real hack. Boy, does everybody treat you different when you have something to offer. Just having a show means you're different than being a fan. That means you're going to get treated differently. Now, whether or not it's a very popular show, even then, everybody knows that whoever's unpopular today might become popular in the future. And sometimes you encounter folks like me, folks who are masters of one domain, but are changing lanes and going into another. In my case, you'll notice that a thing that I've not done for a minute is just saying yes to podcasts without really even checking out what they are. That's mainly in the world of cybersecurity, where I perceive there's a pressing, important need to be fixed. And so that's going to be probably the next year's primary quest. But along the way, I need to polish up my ability to tell the story, so it's more and more reps. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Ryan Brushwood, wolf masking. Oh, Oh no. Cyber. There it is. Oh, that's right. So we talked about brandable chunks. When I wanted to convey something, I did a search. I checked to see whether or not the word scampocalypse existed. And I found like one use of it. So I've started using it a lot. What is the scampocalypse? It's fairly self-explanatory. But if you go to scampocalypse.com, that's going to forward you, there we go, to a workshop that me and Perry Carpenter are doing about how to protect yourself in the ever-shifting meta of robot-run scams. Guess what? The robots are going to be better than us. They're going to be more patient. They're going to show more empathy. But in general, when I talk about the scampocalypse, I'm talking about this Deloitte study that shows year over year, we're seeing exponential growth in terms, in deepfake and AI-powered fraud, to the tune of, within 2 years, we're looking at $40 billion. That's a lot of bad security awareness training that needs to be updated. So, with that in mind, I am just making a habit of getting out there and saying yes to things, including this social engineering podcast, or the, hold on, let me, beep, boop, boop, there we go. What I'm proposing, or what I do, is I work with humans on human scamming. That's what I've done on all of Scam School. That's what I've done for 25 years. That deceptive role play, it's the difference between, if you've ever played a first-person shooter, the game is very different. If you ever play Overwatch against a bunch of bots, imagine that the best out there is a bot experience. And then for the first time you log in and you're playing player versus player. I am here for PvP social engineering play. Anyway, so that's how it begins, is you get out there and you start putting the word out on your thing, and two things happen. First of all, you discover and refine your message on the inside, and you allow the robots to discover you. You can actually see that if you search in agent mode. That'll be another thing. Remind me tomorrow, gang. Maybe tomorrow we'll do one on how to discover how the outside world sees you, because that's a fun GPT agent related thing. Basically, we'll get to it tomorrow because I want to make good on my promises for today. Someone suspected I was AI because I didn't have any errors in my writing. I'm concerned about the precedent. Students are getting worse on purpose now. The answer, of course, is more interactions. Where I worry about is, if I were a bad guy, I would be having LLMs and robots building friendships with old people today at a very casual, superficial level, kind of a pen pal thing. I would set a robot to watch somebody's content and be Johnny on the spot helping them, so that 5 years from now, there could be so much trust built up that I could pull the rug under everyone's eyes. That's if I was a bad guy. And that is exactly, because I can conceive of it, I can imagine bad state actors are already making that happen. So the answer, of course, is high fidelity, when possible, in-person events. The real purpose, the real person is what matters. 75,000 is considered enough to get the Dutch TV Awards, yeah? Let's see. Well, that's great. So in that case, Vincent, you have your target and you can keep on going. And then, but for now, product. Let's see. Yeah, 1 billion viewers. I am going to be fascinated to see that all come together. G. James B, to be honest, it's so, there's a million things to be frustrated with. If YouTube was built from the ground up all on purpose, then I feel like I would have a place to complain. But instead, it's a miracle that it even exists at all. It's a miracle that anything works. It's a miracle that it's a CDN that somehow pays you instead of the other way around. Let's see. How does one get good at storytelling? Well, thank you very much for the segue. Oh, yeah, it's Adam. This is what I wanted to talk about today. So there's a few basic formats to storytelling. Here's something I want you guys to consider going forward is humans are built on human OSs, right? And human OS runs on stories. So what I want to do, there we go, is we're going to look at one of the best examples of, I have no idea whether or not this is going to get me content ID'd. If it does, then so be it. I'll give this to whoever claimed it, probably the actual creator. But I'm sharing this with you guys in a, how can I put it? In a fair use setting, in an educational setting, but it'll show up as a short, assuming it's short enough to go in the YouTube Shorts policy. This is Kurt Vonnegut talking about the shapes of stories. It's one of the most important things you'll see today.
Has created a body of work of startling eccentricity and universal appeal. His singular view of the world applies not just to his stories and characters, but to some of his theories as well.
Well, there's no reason why the simple shapes of stories can't be fed into computers. They are beautiful shapes. This is the GI axis, good fortune, ill fortune. Sickness and poverty down here, wealth and boisterous good health up there. Here's the very middle. Now, this is the BE axis. B stands for beginning. E stands for electricity. Now, this is an exercise in relativity, really, is the shape of the curves of what matters and not their origins. So we'll start a little above average, is why get a depressing person? We'll start, the whole thing, we call this story Man in Hole, but it needn't be about a man, and it needn't be about somebody getting into a hole. But it's just a good way to remember it. Somebody gets into trouble, gets out of it again. People love that story. They never get sick of it. All right, not copyrighted. Another story, also a beautiful curve and easily fed into a computer, called Boy Gets Girl, but it needn't be that. Just a way to remember it. Start on an average day, average person, not expecting anything to happen a day like any other. Find something wonderful, just loves it. Oh, God damn it. Got it back again. People like that. Now, these are beautiful curves, and this gets a little complicated. Computers can now play chess, so I don't know why they can't digest this very difficult curve I'm going to draw for you now. And it so happens that this is the most popular story in our civilization, Western civilization, as we love to hear this story. Every time it's retold, somebody makes another $1 million. You're welcome to do it. Now, surprisingly enough, I've said it's depressing. You know, people don't like stories about below average days and people. But we're going to start way down here. Worse than that, who is so low? It's a little girl. What's happened? Her mother has died. Her father has remarried a vile-tempered, ugly woman with two nasty daughters, big daughters. You've heard it. Anyway, there's a party at the palace that night. She can't go. She has to help everybody else get ready. She has to stay home. Now, does she sink lower? No. She's a staunch little girl, and she has had the maximum whack from fate, which is the loss of her mother. She can't go any lower than that. Okay, so the fairy godmother comes. gives her shoes, gives her stocking, gives her mascara. Gives her a means of transportation, goes to the party, dances with the prince, has a swell time. Boring, 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 boring. Now, there's a slight inclination to that line as I've drawn it because it takes perhaps 20 seconds, 30 seconds for a grandfather clock to strike 12. Does she wind up at the same level? Of course not. She will remember that dance for the rest of her life. Now, she poops along on this level till the prince comes to shoe fits. She achieves off-scale happiness.
All right. So, first of all, the one thing I want you to notice right off the bat is this is a fairly accurate representation of the retention graph in YouTube. This this part of the story of Cinderella really is the makeover montage is a sequence of dopamine hits. They're little, 30 seconds, thing was not pretty, thing is prettier, thing is not pretty, thing is prettier, broken down horse, or my mouse becomes awesome horse, et cetera, et cetera. So when you notice that shape in there, you see the corollaries, not with quality, but of interest. And again, but now I've watched this so many times that I'm more interested in looking at in a meta way. Can you guys see the retention graph on here? Here, let me, there we go. There we go. So if you look at the retention analytics, you can, in a meta way, as he's telling the story and you get the interesting beats, you can see where the interesting beats are on this. And you notice that it falls off. This is right around the time when he begins to explain how the Cinderella story goes. Because at this point we get it, and this all feels too predictable. And it's fine that we get this payoff joke, but the question that started this segue was, how do you get better at storytelling? This performance is a masterclass in it. Starting with the fact, notice everything goes in threes. There's here to there stops, and everything goes in threes. And the beats are, well, here, if you take yourself out of the words he's saying and instead to the overall narrative, watch what happens.
City and universal appeal. His singular view of the world applies not just to his stories and characters, but to some of his theories as well.
Well, there's no reason why the simple shapes of stories can't be fed into computers. They are beautiful shapes. This is the GI axis, good fortune.
Okay, so already, this is one of the things I'm currently obsessed with, is the viewer's role. In this case, what do we have? We begin with a line. This is the GI axis. He is withholding the purpose of that line. He has set in front of us a puzzle. I don't know what a GI axis is. Does it have to do with digestion or something? But instead he says, up here you have good fortune. And then I'm like, well, how does an I ill fortune? Good fortune, ill fortune. I get it. Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I understand that. That becomes one unit of the story that we put a loop around.
Ill fortune. Sickness and poverty down here.
By the way, that chuckle that you hear is everybody clicking in the audience like, oh, I understand now. I thought it would be more complicated. It's not. Then he doubles down and he explains exactly what he means so that you have a framework. You have point one.
Wealth and boisterous good health up there. Here's the very middle. Now, this is the BE axis.
Now, we already had GI axis turned out to be good fortune, ill fortune. What are we instantly doing? We as the audience are suddenly instantly consumed with wondering, where is this going? What is the BE axis? And look at that. He burns 3 full seconds refusing to give us a hint until finally he says,
B stands for beginning.
And he now knows that we've auto-completed the rest, which is why he changes the rules. He holds and waits, lets us soaks in it, and then says, by the way, you're totally wrong. Or he gives a playful, nonsensical answer.
E stands for electricity.
So that laughter is surprise laughter because they got. He knew that they knew, and so he pointed out that he knew that they knew, and that was new knowledge that caused them to laugh. This is covered in Steven Pinker's new book, When Everybody Knows That Everybody Knows.
Now, this is an exercise in relativity, really. Is the shape of the curves are what matters and not their origins. So we'll start a little above average.
So what happened here? Now we drew a circle around this whole introduction to the graph, right? Now we're beginning a game. We have a subject. Now we get to our first verb.
Is why get a depressing person? We'll start.
And again, we're back to an area where none of us know where this is going.
The whole thing, we call this story Man in Hole, but it needn't be about a man, and it needn't be about somebody getting into a hole. But it's just a good way to remember it.
So notice he gives it a label and then takes it away. He says it's called Man in Hole, but it needn't be a man, and it needn't be about a hole. So all of a sudden we're like, well, then what is it? Withholding information, capture interest, hold it.
Somebody gets into trouble.
Now what? We're trying to solve. We're trying to solve. What's the answer?
Gets out of it again.
Oh, good fortune, ill fortune. It's not that complicated. Laughter.
People love that story. They never get sick of it.
And then that all becomes beat number 1. Then beat number 2 is a riff on that. And then beat number 3, because you'll notice he's just drawn the same curve a different time. And this time he's saying less because he knows you've got it.
Finds something wonderful, just loves it. Oh, God damn it. Got it back again.
That tantric waiting to let it soak, so good. At any rate, from here you get it. It's good advice, but more importantly, it is just framed and presented at a next level way. It's very good. If you just search for Kurt Vonnegut, The Shapes of Stories, you'll find that. All right, I think I kept my promise, guys. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, dude, he is a dry, booky guy, but he's also damn hilarious. He's very funny. Yeah, it's a good one. Good to see you, Sir Blacksmith, 2297. Carl Winslow, I love that image because it's something more visceral than just like, yeah, that does feel right. It's like, no. YKK YEW 1843, you get to go back to the beginning and watch the whole thing. Don't worry, you'll get all caught up. Yeah. This is great. Yeah, dude, that's just it. You can get that pregnant pause if you give enough gifts that you earn it. It's a big harvest. We'll talk about that in the 3 currencies on another day. But for now, that's going to be it for me, guys. Go out, kick the day right in the face, punch today in the dong. We'll see you tonight for a great night. Justin Robert Young in studio.